Hey y'all, Kurt Sasso here from TGT. We're here at Fan Expo Canada 2010. We're here with
Leone.
Thank you, sorry. We're here with Mike Leone from Freelance Blues. How you doing today, Mike?
Doing very well. Very excited to be part of Fan Expo again this year.
You know, I heard you do a bit of your spiel with a lot of people that were walking by here. Tell us what Freelance Blues is all about.
Freelance Blues is a workplace supernatural horror comedy. It's kind of a little Buffy the Vampire Slayer meets The Office Space. Lance Bunkman is the hero. His life is complicated by the fact that his bosses are all supernaturally evil. So not only does he have to defeat his evil boss and rescue his co-worker, he's got to get up tomorrow morning and find himself a new job. Because for Lance, being a hero doesn't pay the bills.
It never does, obviously, because, you know, it's a thankless job and no one really wants to do it.
No, and then the people that would thank him are too busy running, screaming for their lives to give a moment's consideration to the guy that just saved their bacon.
Well, you know, you got some amazing books here. You have a really interesting and beautiful art style, especially in the grittiness that you bring forth with your evil supernatural bosses there too.
Well, we're trying to walk that fine line between horror and comedy. We want the horror and the violence to be real, but we want the comedy to be kind of genuine and heartfelt. So it's not slapstick, it's not over the top. Super aggressive violence. Fortunately for us, we found an artist in Vicky Tierney that is able to really help us navigate the real tricky waters of the horror comedy.
And how did you happen to find her? Through an evil placement ad, was that right? Or?
Absolutely. It's all of our collaborators were found through evil job postings.
That's where Monster.com really comes into play.
Absolutely. Very, very well named.
Well, you know, tell us a little bit about, issues 1, 2, 3. I mean, obviously this idea must have been rattling around in your brain for a while. What are some of your favorite horror genre films that really speak to you? My favorite has always been, up until recently, The Nightmare on Elm Street, and I think Freddy Krueger really exemplifies the horror comedy, where he's, you're running from your life, but as a third-party observer, haha, that's kind of funny, just as long as it's not happening to you. And that's really my biggest horror / comedy influence. Robert Englund and Freddy, the whole original Nightmare series. Now, I have to ask this question just because I'm a horror fan. I love the horror stuff. But when you had Freddy versus Jason, what did you really think of that film?
Of course, I was conflicted. I'm not sure if that was the greatest pairing, and I'm not even sure who was clamoring for it. And ultimately, I'm dissatisfied with the outcome, ultimately. Being the Freddy fan that I am, that any mindless force of nature, which Jason is, and listen, as a horror villain, Jason is great. You can't beat him. He's relentless. He epitomizes everything that people love in zombie movies. Emotionless, never stop. You can't. It's why the Terminator is great. It's why there's a zillion zombie movies out every year. All of that is what makes Jason a great horror villain. But to actually have a chance against someone with the abilities and class that Freddy has is ridiculous, preposterous. You're asking too much of me to suspend my disbelief in this case, sir. Too much.
One final question then here for you, Mike. Fan Expo is going to close down at the end of the weekend. You're eventually going to have to go home, obviously.
No, they're going to have to drag me out of here. They're going to have to call security and an awful lot of it.
Although, when you eventually get dragged out of your by-set security in mass droves, obviously.
Kicking and screaming.
Kicking and screaming, yes. What are you personally going to take away from this experience?
For us, as an independent publisher, the most important thing is actually getting out and sharing our creation with the people. Getting feedback. We understand what it is, and we know that there's going to be a lot more misses than hits and a lot more pitches than sales. But for us, we're introducing issue 3 at this show, and for people to come up to us and say, "Oh, issue 3 is out," and picking it up because we've met them at previous shows, that kind of helps us kind of get through it, because we're both working our own regular jobs, 40 hours a week. We got to pay the bills, and we're doing this kind of as a labor of love. And when you get that back from people, it really makes everything worthwhile.
And do you have a website we can go to view more of this work?
Absolutely. www.freelanceblues.com.
Easy enough, and it's been a real pleasure speaking to you, Mike, and have a wonderful convention.
It's starting off well. Thank you very much.
Anytime.